Hey there! Today I'm going to show you how to make a dish from the 1930s called Hamburger Pizza. Of course, it's not really pizza in the traditional sense, but it was likely inspired by it. In the 1930s, pizza wasn't widely known by most Americans. Only Italian immigrants and people in cities with a big Italian population like New York and Chicago were familiar with it. This concept of a round, tomato-sauced meat dish might have been loosely inspired by the visual and flavor profile of pizza, but reinterpreted as a meatloaf-like preparation. Ground beef was a more affordable meat option during the Great Depression, making it a perfect choice to keep costs down and stretch meals, fitting with the era's emphasis on using inexpensive and accessible ingredients. So, if you love hamburger and you love pizza, you will love this dish. It is super easy to make, so stick around while I show you how to do it. Okay, the very first thing that I'm doing is prepping my cast iron skillet, which I'm going to use. I'm putting a thin coating of oil on the skillet. I'm using vegetable oil, which is what I recommend. Of course, you can use whatever you like. And if you don't have a cast iron skillet, you can probably make this using a pie plate, but I think a cast iron skillet is best. But of course, use whatever you have, whatever you feel will work best. And you're also going to want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. You're going to need 1 to 1.5 pounds of ground beef. I'm using ground sirloin because that's my preferred ground beef. Of course, you can use whatever kind of ground beef you like. And you're going to add about a teaspoon of salt. And you're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. And you're also going to add 1 beaten egg, 1/8 teaspoon black pepper, and 1/4 teaspoon Italian seasoning. Now I'm going to add my onion. The original recipe calls for 1/4 cup, but I'm using a 1/2 cup because that doesn't seem like enough to me, and I like onion. Now I'm going to mix the meat along with the other ingredients. I'm using a spoon to start off with, but I know I'm going to have to mix this with my hands. Here I have an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. I'm adding half the can of tomato sauce to the meat mixture, and I'm going to continue mixing everything together. And now the time has come for me to use my hands. I'm doing this to ensure that everything is mixed well together. Now it's time to press your meat mixture evenly into your cast iron skillet or whatever kind of pan you're using. Now we're going to bake our meat mixture in a preheated oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes or so. You want to bake this until it's fully done, but you don't want to burn it, of course. Now we're going to prepare our sauce that goes over the pizza. We're using the remaining, what's left of the tomato sauce. Half a can, this is an 8-ounce can. And I'm using a 1/4 teaspoon of oregano. And if you feel like you need it because the sauce is gonna be a little bit bitter, you could put in just like a little pinch of sugar. I'm gonna stir everything up. I know I'm using my measuring spoon, but that's okay. It's going in the dishwasher anyway. Okay, now our meat is done, and you're gonna have to pour off your grease, or you should pour off your grease before you continue with this recipe. So there is some grease here. Now it's time to pour our tomato sauce over the hamburger pizza. Of course, you can buy pizza sauce in the store if you prefer, and you can use that. But the reason that I'm making my own is because I'm trying to stay true to the original recipe as much as I can. I want to try to use the ingredients that they would have used back then. Of course, sometimes it's not possible or it's not practical, but in this case it is. But just keep that in mind. If you don't like this kind of tomato sauce, of course, your pizza sauce, you can buy pizza sauce in the grocery store, no problem. Now, the original recipe calls for using sliced mozzarella cheese to put on top, but I'm using shredded mozzarella in this case because it just makes more sense to me. I guess back then they didn't have shredded mozzarella cheese in the stores anyway. You could shred your own. But to me, it makes more sense to use shredded. Of course, you can use sliced cheese if you prefer. Now I'm going to place this back in the oven. I switched the setting to broil. I put it on high, and I'm going to broil it for a few seconds. That was all it took to melt the cheese. You don't want to burn it, so please be careful and watch it. Don't burn it. And here we are. It's finished, and it was super easy to make. So simple, and it's so savory and delicious. I love it, and both my husband and my daughter also loved it. It was a hit in our home tonight, and I highly recommend this for those who love hamburger and pizza. You'll be pleasantly surprised by this dish. So easy to make. And by the way, I think this could be a low carb dish as long as you don't add any sugar to it because it doesn't have a crust. So if you're on a low carb diet, you might want to give this a try. Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you for joining me. Please let me know what you think down in the comments section. I would love to hear from you. And please let me know if you try out any of my recipes. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so because I do plan to upload more content in the future. And please do check out my link in my bio, and please visit my Amazon page where I make a lot of great recommendations about everything from things for the home, things for the kitchen, clothing, fashion, makeup, beauty products, fragrance, you name it. Thanks for watching.